Winter-themed cards just aren't for the holidays. Today on Stamp TV, I want to show you an easy-to-make winter-themed card that can be used for thank you cards, birthday cards, thinking of you cards, and more. This project features the new Vertical Greeting Stamp Set by Teresa Momber. Let me show you the tools and products you're going to need to make this card project. First, you're going to need some ink, and I am using some of the Gina Designs Fresh Asparagus ink and some of the Black Onyx ink. Then you're going to need some ribbon, and I'm using the Gina Designs 3/8 of an inch Black Onyx gingham ribbon. Along with that, I'm using some of the We Are Memory Keepers Red Baker's Twine. And I'm going to use a button, and this is one of the Gina Designs Ivory buttons. I'm also going to use some of the liquid pearls, and this is the red liquid pearls. Then I'm going to use some stamps, and the stamps that I'm using are from the new Vertical Greeting Set by Teresa Momber, and it includes the Thinking of You stamp and also this fern leaf. Then I'm going to use some cardstock, and the cardstock colors that I've chosen are our ivory cardstock, some of the red hot cardstock, and the black onyx cardstock. Then you're going to need some glue dots to adhere your button and some regular adhesive for the rest of your card project, along with some scissors. So let's begin with this fern leaf, and I want to stamp this in some of the Fresh Asparagus ink. Now, I'm going to kind of make a border around the outside of this piece of cardstock. So I'm going to ink up this stamp, and first I'm going to stamp it down here at the bottom. Then I'm going to turn it a little bit so it just doesn't look like the same image over and over again, but it actually looks like different little branches of fern leaves coming through. So I'm going to turn it this way, and that kind of makes it look a little bit different from the first one. I'm going to do the same thing again. Get one up here, and then one up here on the top, like this. Now, I'm not quite done with that fresh asparagus, but before I go any further with that, I do want to get my greeting set down, and this way I can see exactly where I want to stamp the rest of the images. So I'm using the Thinking of You stamp, and I'm going to ink that up using some of the Black Onyx ink. I think for this I might need to put my glasses on. There we go. So I'll ink that up. And then I'm going to stamp that. Let's ink that up a little bit more. I think I cleaned this with a baby wipe last time, and it's pooling a little bit. Okay. So we'll stamp this one right here, going down toward the middle of the card, like that. There we go. And now I'm going to add 2 more sprigs of fern leaves. I'm going to add one coming in from up here, like that, and then one coming in from the bottom, right about there. So there are all of my fern leaves and my focal image piece, my greeting. Okay, so now the next step is going to be to add this to this piece of red hot cardstock. Now I'm going to leave a little border on the one side and then a bigger border on the other side. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want this to look more centered when I add my ribbon. So when I add that ribbon piece, that's going to go right about there, and then I'll have an even amount of red showing from both sides. So I'll keep that placed over to the side just a little bit. And I will use some adhesive to do that, mono adhesive. Okay. And leave that nice little border on the edge. There we go. Okay. So now my next step is to add some of this gingham ribbon. And I'm just going to measure off and cut a little bit over the size of that so I can tape it around the back. But now I'm going to add tape all the way down the front of this ribbon because I really want this to lay nice and flat, and that's a great way to do it. You can also use score tape for something like this, but since we're not holding anything really, really heavy together, regular mono-adhesive will work. Now, I'm going to just eyeball it here so that it looks pretty even, and lay it down. And once that's in place, I can just fold that over. That little piece looks a little bit crooked. There we go. And there I have this focal image panel that's ready to be mounted onto a piece of black onyx cardstock. So we'll do that next, and remember, like I always tell you, when you're taping down ribbon, or you have ribbon folded underneath your card, add a little bit of extra tape onto it to make sure that that doesn't pop out once you've gotten the piece secured. So there we go. And now I will adhere that piece to the black onyx piece. Okay. Now my next step is to take a little bit of this red ribbon, this red baker's twine, and I'm going to feed that through this button. This is a big ivory button. I'm going to show you, I did a practice card earlier and I used a smaller button, and you can look at the two different variations and decide which one you like better. But I'm just going to tie the little bow right now here on this button and trim that extra away. It's got a nice big loopy bow. And then I'm going to adhere that onto my card right about there. But first I'm going to apply this panel onto my card base. And this will go right onto that card base. And then we can add that loopy buttony bow. And we're going to do that using some mini glue dots. Now, the way we carry them now, we carry them in a roll, and I like the roll a little bit better, but I still had quite a few of these left to finish. So I'm going to use 2 glue dots for this, one on each side. So you just kind of press the glue dot onto the button on both sides, and then adhere the button where you want it. And I'm going to put it kind of in the center there, like that. And then you can press down on it to secure it. Now my last step for this card is going to be to add a few berries. And like I said, winter sprigs and winter themed stamps like snowmen and those wintry berries and things like that can be used any time of the year, not just for your, or any time of the winter, not just for your holiday cards. So I'm going to use some of this liquid pearls here, and this is the rouge color. So we have a couple different reds, but any of the reds will look really pretty. And when you use liquid pearls, you want to squeeze a dot and hold the bottle straight up and down so that dot comes out, and then pull it straight up and it'll come to a little point. And then it will settle back down and it will turn into a very round little pearl. Don't pull it off sideways because then it'll look a little lopsided. If you pull it straight up, it'll settle into a perfect pearl. So I'm going to do one just about here and one here, just at the bottoms of each of these little sprigs. Now when Teresa designed this stamp set, she may not have designed these to be winter foliage pieces, but they certainly can be if you add the little winter berries on them. So I'll put one there, and you can work around your ribbon. You don't have to put it where the ribbon is. You can go around it, around your bows, around your buttons, and you can see how fun this is. And if you don't put enough down, just go back and quickly put a little bit more on top. And they'll all be a little bit different sizes, just like in nature. So there are those pretty little winter berries. And there is my finished card project. Try this same card layout, but add silk or paper flowers instead of berries for a warmer weather card. Or leave the sprigs plain for a more masculine look.